Tibet is one of the world's most mysterious and captivating travel destinations. Also known as the rooftop of the world, this region is among the most isolated and inaccessible on our planet, and has evoked the imagination of many travelers. For those that make it here, they find a land of awe-inspiring landscapes, overwhelming religious devotion, and friendly, welcoming people. In this video, I take you back to some of my most memorable journeys, traveling to 4 different Tibetan regions, spanning a decade. From the intriguing Labrang monastery in China to the residence of the Dalai Lama in India, and from the communities of Tibetan refugees in Nepal to the highlands of Lhasa and Tibet, today also known as the Tibetan Autonomous Region. So join me exploring the fascinating region of Tibet. We begin our journey in 2010 in the small village of Xiahe, nestled in the mountains of Gansu province in China. Getting here is an adventure in itself, traversing deep valleys and passing wide pastures, with grazing sheep and yaks. Often nicknamed as Little Tibet, Xiahe provides our first encounter with Tibetan life. Despite the challenges of modernization and Chinese influence, Xiahe remains a deeply spiritual town, where pilgrims and monks make sacred choras, turning prayer wheels and whispering mantras. Chora is a combination of pilgrimage and meditative practice that forms an integral part of Tibetan Buddhism. Located at almost 3,000 meters, the focal point of the village is the imposing Labrang monastery. Originally built in the early 18th century, this sprawling complex was home to one of the largest Buddhist monastic universities, and is still an important place of worship and education. We continue our travels 4 years later in the lush green mountains of Himachal Pradesh in India. Here we find the tranquil village of Dharamsala, also known as Little Lhasa. This is the headquarters of the Tibetan government in exile and the residence of the 14th Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of the Tibetan people. It's a joy to explore the town and its beautiful surroundings, taking in the sights and sounds of this magical place. We visit Dharamsala when the Dalai Lama, who also goes by the name of Gyalwa Rinpoche, is giving one of his public teaching lessons. Thousands of pilgrims and monks listen for hours, often days on end, fascinated by the lessons and wisdom that he has to share. Dharamsala has a large Tibetan community, with schools and educational organizations dedicated to upholding Tibetan ways of life. Make sure to visit the Norbulinka Institute to witness artists creating classic Tanka paintings, Tibetan art and traditional clothes. And try some of the delicious Tibetan food, including momo dumplings and freshly produced noodles. We cross the border to the capital city of Nepal, Kathmandu, where we find the incredible Buddhanath Stupa. Built some 1,400 years ago, on an ancient trading route from Tibet, it remains an important pilgrimage site for Buddhists from Nepal, Tibet and beyond. It's hard not to be mesmerized by the atmosphere here, as people encircle the stupa, using prayer beads, burning incense and lighting candles. The area around the stupa is also home to a vibrant community of Tibetans who, just as in Dharamsala, had to flee Tibet in 1959. Since then, over 50 gompas or monasteries have been built in Buddhanath, providing monks with a place to live and study. Some of these gompas are open to travelers, where you can learn more about Buddhist teachings and practices. 5 years later, 2019, we now have a chance to visit the capital and spiritual heartland of Tibet, Lhasa. Located on the rooftop of the world, we reach the city traveling on the highest railway on our planet, over 5,000 meters in some parts. Traversing the rugged, barren Tibetan landscapes proves a beautiful introduction to arriving in Lhasa, which itself feels like stepping into a different world. The first views of the magnificent Potala Palace are truly unforgettable. This is the historical seat the Tibetan government and former winter residence of the Dalai Lama. A good way to start exploring Lhasa is by joining pilgrims making a traditional kora as they walk around the palace, mumbling mantras and turning prayer wheels. It's also possible to climb the Potala Palace, but make sure to take your time, as Lhasa is located at an altitude of over 3,600 meters. Tibet has had a tumultuous history, dating back to the 7th century. It has seen periods of independence and occupation by Chinese and Mongolian dynasties. More recently, in 1950, it was annexed by Communist China, which has ruled the region ever since. Some Tibetans decided to flee this area and are now living in places like Nepal and India. In general, the Tibetan people never had it easy, but despite the challenges, have managed to retain much of their culture. Outside the main city, we visit two of the largest and most important monasteries in Tibet, Drepung and Sera. The latter is famous for the daily debating session, where monks discuss philosophical and religious topics inside of their courtyards. My favorite area in Lhasa is called Barkor, essentially the spiritual center of the city. Countless pilgrims walk around the Yokhang temple, where they perform prostration, a ritual meant to purify negative thoughts and bad karma. Some prostrate all the way from their villages to Lhasa, a journey that can take several months, but most take part in shorter versions. visiting Lhasa and other parts of Tibet comes with restrictions for foreign travelers, as it's required to be part of a guided tour. That said, as part of a group, we are able to explore a few more places in Tibet, getting a glimpse of what it's like to live here. Located 40 kilometers from Lhasa, Ganden Monastery is one of the great three Gelug universities, together with Sera and Drepung. Apart from its religious significance, it is also built on a stunning location, overlooking deep valleys and stark mountains. We drive deeper inland, through spectacular landscapes of glaciers and frozen lakes, and arrive in Shigatse, the second largest city in Tibet. Shigatse is home to an impressive historic fort, and the Tashi Lhasa monastery, founded in the 15th century by the first Dalai Lama. The vast majority of people living in Shigatse are Tibetan, and wandering through the streets, past local markets and restaurants, is a highlight for many travelers. Our journey comes to an end on the awe-inspiring highlands of Tibet. For our last stretch, we traverse mountain passes decorated with prayer flags, all the way to Mount Everest Base Camp, with views of the highest mountain in the world. That concludes our journey to the Tibetan world. I realize I have only scratched the surface, and you could spend months, if not years, exploring this mysterious and deeply spiritual region. Yet I still hope this video gave you some travel inspiration, or at least provided a glimpse into this beautiful but complicated place. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Travel safely.